Now I'm looking at some international news. US immigration under Trump. Key executive orders and their impact. The Trump presidency began with a flourish of executive orders being signed by the newly installed president. 200 such orders were signed on day one alone, and there were about 10 that directly impact U.S. immigrations. As time passes, immigration's effects will likely be seen in many other areas. The specific immigration-related orders and specific immigration government announcement in the wake of the orders are important to examine. A few are discussed here. The executive order protecting the meaning and value of American citizenship has become known as the Order Regarding Birthright Citizenship. The order states that citizenship will only be conferred on those children born in the United States whose mother and father is a lawful permanent resident of U.S. citizen. It is to take effect on February 20, 2025. The U.S. Constitution indicates that anyone born on U.S. soil in the U.S. citizen. The new order will therefore remove a fundamental right from the children of undocumented parents. However, it will also affect the children of parents who are in lawful non-immigrant status, such as H/B1 and F/1. Several organizations have already filed lawsuits against the proclamation. As of January 23, 2025, a federal judge in Seattle, Washington, was signed a temporary restraining order blocking this executive order on birthright citizenship. This means the government can take no steps towards making it a reality. There will be another hearing soon for the judge to decide if the preliminary injunction should be issued. So that means Trump can do it so easy. There's some court case going on about it. Okay. The executive order protecting the American people against invasion, among other things, seek to ensure that the immigration authorities prioritize areas such as illegal entry, unlawful presence, and people with final orders of removal. So their group includes anyone who came to the U.S. without lawful documentation, such as incoming across a border or with fraudulent documentation. It also includes anyone who came lawful, like on a visitor's visa, and has overstayed their time. Remember that the one 5 or 10 years validity of this visitor's visa is not the time you are allowed to stay on any one visit. It also includes anyone who the immigration courts have determined should be sent home, but who has not yet but who has not yet but who oh Lord, let me read. But who has not yet sent home. The order also calls for an increase in the number of persons detention facilities can hold, and also for the Department of Homeland Security to detain anyone pending the resolution of their immigration cases. So persons who previously were before the immigration court but not locked up and attend court on all occasions necessary will now find themselves in detention facilities. They will stay detained in the facility until the case is concluded and some can sometimes take years. It also indicates that there will be fines and penalties against people who are undocumented or who those persons in the country who facilitate their presence in the United States. This will likely affect mixed status families and families where new members of the targeted group are coming to stay with them. Mercy, Father, judgment. Countries that do not accept or facilitate the return of their nationalities will face penalties. These can include the denial of visas and nationals of the country. Visa denials have always been an issue, but it appears that could be a policy level issue now. The administration plan to limit grants of humanitarian parole and temporary protected status. The former is aimed at groups that are deemed vulnerable and should be allowed into the U.S. based very stigma criteria. So the program of Haitians, Venezuelans, Cubans, and Nigerians has ended. The latter is used to assess nationals already in the U.S. for countries experiencing tremendous disasters such as warfare or earthquakes. The executive order securing our borders is specifically related to the southern border. It includes a slew of activities such as the construction of walls and barriers, the ramps up of effects to eliminate unauthorized entries. These efforts will include the immediate detention of immigrants as they arrive at the border, putting the place removals as quickly as possible, and significant persecution of those who violate immigration's law. Immigration's offenses are persecuted in immigration court, but there have always been levels of priority given by governments. It appears that the new administration will take a harder line, and any breach could see persecution and removal. The order allowed the administration to immediately shut down the CBP One app, which persons were using while in Mexico to get asylum application. As of today, almost 2,000 persons have been reportedly affected, some of whom have been waiting well over a year for their interview. The order also immediately ends the practice of releasing people apprehended at the border into the U.S. pending their court hearing. This means the effect immediately anyone who is found off the border or turn themselves to border officers will not be allowed to go to friends and family after being processed. Rather, they will be placed in detention facilities and are sometimes hundreds of miles away from where their persons are resources available to them, such as family. Oh my God. They will remain in the facilities, and so it appears that bail bond hearing might become even more difficult. Military will also be sent to the border to secure it. The executive order protecting the United States from region terrorists and other national security and public safety threats indicate that the administration will identify nations with deficient vetting procedures and provided enhanced security of visa applicants and also those who are already in the United States in lawful status. More resources will also be devoted on denationalization operation. This seems that the administration will be revisiting nationalization applications over the years to identify cases where nationalization should probably not have been granted. Mercy, God, and serious. Father God, may I beg you, have mercy upon somebody over there. While we set out in any specific immunization executive order, many policies will begin to flow. The following are two such policies. Effective January 22nd, 2025, USCIS announced that it is waiting any and all requirements that applicants for adjustment of status to what of a lawful permanent resident present documentation regarding the COVID-19 vaccine. USCIS will not issue any request for evidence of notice of intent and deny related to providing a COVID-19 vaccination. USCIS will not deny any adjustment of status application based on the application failure to present documentation they have received the COVID vaccination. Additionally, the Department of Homeland Security has rescinded Biden and era protection that restricted immigration enforcement to sensitive areas, allowing immigration authorities to conduct arrests at schools, healthcare facilities, and places of worship. This shift now means the Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) can now go to these places and arrest persons with immigration violation. There are multiple media reports of such actions already taking place across the nation. Mercy, them a work. Help them again, Lord. There are a few main takeaways from the new administration posture. Immigrants in the U.S. in lawful status must try to maintain that status. Make sure your visa, passport, and other important papers are valid and easy to find. Having only soft copies is not good enough. Always keep copies of things like your 1/94 and work authorization documents close and accessible to trusted persons just in case and you need them. Hey, God, them under pressure over it. Persons in the country who fall into any of the other groups who are in the USA must make urgent plans as to their next steps. Persons overseas who plan to try to enter the US without lawful authorization must recognize that they might be exposing themselves to great trauma. Persons outside of the country coming into the USA in any lawful status may well find themselves exposed to increased and additional, if they're more invasive scrutiny. Father, them under it. Trump at work. Them under it. Trump at work. Yes, Lord.